creatures of the night. I'm gonna have to. I was not expecting a little rant. But I'm gonna have to give one. I'm gonna have to give one. Normally I like to keep things in order from the beginning to the end, but I have to talk about the end first because I'm just so bothered. I'm so bothered with how the show ended. Nigel McGuinness, okay, had things to say, final words before the Grand Slam situation on Wednesday. And honestly, I didn't know it was going to end the show with that. I thought that 10-man all-star match was the end. But really, it was Nigel's, final word before the show for Dynamite. Now, after the main event match, Nigel, he is on the mic, on the stage, and talking about the match he's gonna have with Danielson, kind of touching base on their feud and things like that they've had for 16 years, and everything that Nigel was saying, I appreciate. He's a major heel. I love him on commentary. If it wasn't for Nigel McGuinness on commentary, that shit would be muted. Okay, he's phenomenal in the ring and for a commentator as well. Now, while he's talking, and the way that they're doing it, it almost feels like somebody's gonna come out. I think Danielson will come out, but who came out? Who felt like a little gangster tonight? Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone got out of his little chair and he went over there talking about, I've been in this business for 5 decades. Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler that I've ever seen. Saying all these wonderful things about Bryan and all that. And it got to the point where Nigel was like, sit your motherfucking ass down before I whoop your ass. And to be honest with you, Nigel, I would have stood right behind you to whoop Tony Schiavone's ass. And I'm just going to have to say this. Tony Schiavone being in it ruined the whole motherfucking thing. It ruined the whole vibe of what Nigel was doing. I don't know whose idea was it for Tony Schiavone to get in this. And I want to say this. I think one of the reasons why Tony Schiavone was even present in this shit was because this entire time, y'all listen, Nigel and Danielson, this is a huge fucking deal that I don't think that the company has done enough to show people how big of a deal it is. Okay, I appreciate y'all making it a big thing on the Honor Club for the 50 of us that got the subscription, but you're not making it a big deal enough for the people who are watching your product currently. Since Nigel has had his match at All In, the feud has definitely felt one-sided with Nigel because Nigel and Danielson have not had any run-ins with each other in this whole motherfucking thing. And that right there is why when a brilliant promo like this that Nigel gives is kind of fell on deaf ears where the crowd couldn't even really react because, to be honest, they have not seen not one thing between Danielson and Nigel physically happen these past few weeks. And most of these people who are watching, especially people in the crowd, they probably have no clue about the history between Nigel and Danielson. And with that being said, this falls on you, Tony Khan, that you're not doing a good enough job to show people how big of a deal this thing is. And I appreciated Nigel's promo because I like how he said in the end, oh, well, if there's a God out there and he not answering my prayers, the devil's going to have to answer my prayers. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was brilliant. It really was. However, it's like he's in a feud by himself. They did this with Miro. The last feud that Miro was in, the last so-called feud that Andrade was in, when Andrade was in the Continental Classic, even though there's not really anything between the two of them, that entire time Miro was in a one-sided beef with Andrade, who never even acknowledged him until they had that last match together at World's End. And nobody really could get into it because it's just like this one-sided thing that was going on. Meanwhile, here we are with Nigel McGuinness of all people that have been waiting to be able to get back in the ring, who is feuding with his biggest enemy. And you mean to tell me that nobody's reacting? If they're not reacting, it's because you're not doing a good job with putting this story out for those who don't know about this. And it's very unfortunate that it's come to this. Danielson, who was choked out with a plastic bag, hasn't been around since All Out. Physically, you're not dead, Danielson. You could be out there. You could have came out be a satellite or something. And it's just like we've gotten nothing out of Danielson. So for the crowd who's watching, people at home, the people who are at the shows, they can't be invested into this because you're not giving them anything. All you're giving them is Nigel. Nigel coming out and talking about him wanting to fight Danielson, but we don't get nothing back from Danielson at all. People will not be invested. So in terms of how the show ended, people are just like, man, I hate the way the show ended. However, Nigel gave an amazing promo. And no one felt it because no one knows what the fuck is going on between Nigel and Danielson, which I felt was unfortunate. And Shivani getting involved in this, Tony Khan, what are you thinking? Shivani of all people, you're not a wrestler. I'll go whoop his ass and I'm not a wrestler. And I'm just like, I don't see what Shivani being in this had to do with anything. And I don't think it helped for Danielson at all, for him to be involved. This here, as great as the promo was, it did not do what it was supposed to do, which is very unfortunate for Nigel. But Tony Khan, sister girl, get it together, because this right now has been very, very lackluster, and I don't think it is the wrestler's fault. This is not being booked the right way. Now, speaking of not being booked the right way, we started off the show with the bunkhouse rules match. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy versus the Undisputed Kingdom for the Ring of Honor tag titles. I do appreciate that we're putting Ring of Honor titles on the line on Collision. But we started the show off with this, which was not what I was expecting. I figured we was going to end the night off with this, with, weapons and people bleeding and losing their lives and shit. So I was surprised that they started the match. No music, no nothing. We got straight into it. And you know what? I don't mind that sometimes. Don't tease me. Don't fondle me or anything like that. Just get straight into it and let's have a good time. I did not like this match. There were a lot of great spots. The match itself, was it bad? No. But I want to say that, and I'm trying not to be biased because I truly love the Kingdom. I really do. I like everybody in the ring, but I do love the Kingdom. My thing was, if you watch this back, you can really feel the entire time that Dustin and Sammy was going to take the win. It just seemed like the Kingdom didn't have really didn't have much defense in this match at all. And it just, no matter what they did, Sammy and Dustin got on top of every motherfucking thing. And for me, I was just like, I felt like you're telling us who's going to win way before the ending of the match. And for whatever reason, it just took the fun out of it for me. Really great matches. I mean, really great spots between them going through tables and shit like that. The fucking chair spots were wild, absolutely wild. Matt Taven, we praying for you, brother. If we don't see you for the next few weeks, I know you will be healing that back. Even Dustin put barbed wire around his ugly ass cowboy boots, and then he ended up kicking Matt Taven in the Mike Bennett in the nuts with that. And Mike Bennett might want to have some more kids. I just did not like how it just felt the entire time that the Sammy and Dustin were just on top of things, and I just felt like there was just no way. I didn't feel not 1 ounce of the Undisputed Kingdom retaining those titles, and for me, I did not like that. The match, I think, somebody can enjoy it, but for somebody like me who's a little too critical, I was reading a little bit way much into it and just could not enjoy this match. Now after this, our girl Lexi is back there with the conglomeration, and the premier athletes are interrupting their little interview, saying that it should be them getting interviewed. Mark Sterling went to City Hall earlier that day and got the key to the city and all that shit. And long story short, they're gonna have a match, and yeah, great. I could already see who's gonna take the win on that. Now, before we get into that match, oh yeah, yeah. Actually, wait. So, Mark Sterling, who's always ringside for the premier athletes, and rightfully so, then Pastor Briscoe was like, "Oh well, you know what? We just want to make sure there's no shenanigans ringside, so we're gonna have to have someone out there for us to make sure that if Mark Sterling is going, interfere or whatever, we got somebody to help us." And that ends up being Rocky Romero. Rocky Romero, he's in the building, so they might as well give him something to do. Now, after this, it's Evil Uno and them back there, and Darby Allin comes out, and they're about to have a match. And Darby was talking about, oh, don't you see there's change happening into this company? Things are changing, and I'm not just gonna lay down and die. And I was just like, but Darby, weren't you the one who was saying that you was willing to die for this company? Wasn't it not you not too long ago saying you was willing to die for AEW? And now things have changed apparently. And he's talking about how he's going to be going against Moxley, and Moxley's not going to be playing games with him, so he's not going to be playing games with Evil Uno tonight. So we get a chance to get that a little bit later. After this, we do have trios action, the conglomeration. Well, not the conglomeration. It's just Kyle O'Reilly and Mark Briscoe and Hologram. They're going against the premier athletes. And like I said earlier, Mark Sterling had got the key to the city, and he goes, "Oh, that he's from, I think, what is it, Springfield, Massachusetts? He's from there, but he can't wait to get his ass out of here and go to somewhere where it matters, like New York." And that cracked me up. Should I even? I mean, do I even need to get the details? Like, Hologram is definitely blessed and highly favored by the company. And the conglomeration. Do I need to say anything about that? Mark Sterling did try to get involved. He did get a chance to get involved, and somehow Rocky Romero just didn't do anything for whatever reason. But then towards the end, Hologram ends up attacking Mark Sterling, he didn't even do anything. Mark Sterling didn't get a chance to do anything, and Hologram just gonna go and attack him. Unfortunate. Yes, the babyface team ends up taking the win. I'm so fucking over it. I'm just always wondering, like, everybody I like is always losing. And, yeah, like, I guess I better get used to it, because that's just how things are in pro wrestling. Now, after this, we do get a non-title match with Mariah May versus Lady Frost. I like both of these ladies, but there was no chemistry between the two of them. And I noticed that very early on. And I was just like, let me just watch the whole thing and just see if it changed. And it did not for me. I appreciate Lady Frost getting TV time, because I think she's wonderful. I just don't know what went wrong here between the two of them, so it was hard to get behind. So now Willow Nightingale is back there, and she's talking about the unfortunate loss that she's taken against Statlander and her losing the CMLL women's title. And then here she is interrupted by Deonna Purrazzo and our girl Taya Valkyrie. They're giving us Jersey Shore realness with the animal print, and I appreciate that. Long story short, for Rampage next week, not even Collision, Rampage, we're going to get Willow Nightingale versus Taya Valkyrie. And I'm just like, I don't think I've ever seen these two go at it. And even though we've never seen it, even if we did, why Rampage over Collision, which is, I'm not getting it. After this, we did get Evil Uno and Darby Allin, and for me, I tried to get into it. Alex Reynolds ringside cheating and getting into it. Darby Allin over here ripping off Evil Uno, well, tried to rip off Evil Uno's mask and everything. Something about it was just like, I just couldn't get into it. Did they put this match together last second? Nobody was really, there's nothing to really get into here. And I'm not saying that everything has to have a storyline, but I just didn't feel the chemistry with the two of them. It just felt like we got two people in the ring just doing shit rather than giving people something to talk about in a positive way. So for me, I didn't care. Darby Allin ended up taking the win. And honestly, this could have been better. This could have been better than what it was. Now, before I forget, we did have Dustin and Sammy Guevara a whole hour later, still bloodied up and beaten up and everything. Didn't even shower, didn't even wash their face at least. Sammy and Dustin just giving each other love, telling each other love songs about how much they love tagging with each other and everything, and I just don't care. And out of the blue, Sammy goes, "I want more titles. I want two titles like you, Dustin. You influenced me to go for another title." And I'm just like, "Oh my motherfucking god! I cannot believe this is what's happening." And then he goes on to say he wants another title, and he says, "I'm looking at you, Okada. I want the Continental title at Grand Slam." I said, "Grand Slam? Grand Slam? Don't we already have 50 matches for Grand Slam? Where are we going to fit y'all two in on this card?" Now, I guess it's official. Sammy Guevara versus Okada. Title is not on the line. It's an eliminator match. If Sammy wins, then he goes against Okada for the title. I think he said at the 5th anniversary of Dynamite show, which is the week after. Whoop-de-doo. We also get a whack ass a rap from Max Caster that I have just trained my mind to just forget everything I heard. And it was just like, Max Caster, like, it's a good thing you don't say that you're the best rapper alive, because that would just be a motherfucking lie. MXM Collection, they took his jacket and they bedazzled it or something, but they didn't get a chance to show us what happened. We're going to end up seeing that next week on Collision when these two teams go head to head. Now, we do finally have another women's match. It's great to see two women's matches, because the first one wasn't it for me. Serena Deeb versus Queen Aminata, who's been having some issues as of late. And I did enjoy this match. Serena Deeb is really talented, y'all. She is absolutely lacking in the personality department. And I am all in for heels. Like, I am a heel at heart. And she just doesn't speak to my dark heart at all. And I'm just like, something is missing here. The whole Serena Deeb dojo thing, maybe we're going to have to just get rid of that and just start her new. It's just not working. She ends up taking the win, and even though I would have loved Queen Aminata to take the win, I think this is good. I think this is good for her. She ends up coming out a little bit later on, before the main event, rambling. I don't even know what the fuck she was talking about. She obviously wants DMD. They had said that DMD was coming back on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite. So she wants to get her hand on that. And the whole time she's having that little backstage promo, I felt nothing. Nothing at all. And if I'm not connecting with a heel, me of all people, who's always cheering for the heels, Serena girl, you in trouble. You in trouble. We're going to have to fix that. I don't know what's going to take, but we're going to have to fix it. Let's talk about the main event. Up next, we have the All-Star Tag Match. We have Beast Mortos. Lord have mercy, Beast Mortos. Teaming up with the Messiah the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong, Roosh, and Grizzled Young Veterans. And they're going against the Outrunners, those are my boys, FTR, and Hook. And they call this a 10-man All-Star match. And I was just like, don't you mean 9-man All-Star match? Because Hook ain't no damn All-Star. Now, this match started, like, I want to say there was like 35 minutes left of the show. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, we got quite a bit of time. I think they got everyone in all 10 of these guys enough time to be in the ring. And with that being said, it did kind of feel like it was dragging a little bit, because I do know that they had to have a couple of minutes at the end of the show for Nigel's, promo and whatnot. And it just felt like they kind of dragged it for me. So I feel like most people who watch this may, at some point towards the middle, towards the end, feel kind of like, all right, when is this going to be over? But everybody got their little TV time. And every time Hook got in the ring, Shivani with all the compliments. Oh, Taz must be proud. He has one of the best wrestlers here in AEW. What are you talking about, Shivani? One of the best. Look, let me just say this. I know I talk shit about Hook, but I have to be real. Hook, all I saw him do was Germans, different variation of Germans, and that's literally it. Running from side to side, from one side of the ring to the next. Hook does not do anything in that ring. I can do that too. Now, you know what? I might blow my back out doing a German on somebody. But he doesn't do much, and this is me like being like, is this a future of AEW? Somebody who is not really doing much in the ring, and y'all just keep putting this FTW title back on him because that's his daddy title. I'm fucking over it. Now what I didn't know was that Beast Mortos and Roosh was a tag team that I didn't know that I wanted this. Seeing them in the ring, having the chemistry with each other, they look good together. And I'm just like, oh, it kind of seems like maybe Beast Mortos is with the Undisputed Kingdom. Maybe, and I wouldn't mind that. But after tonight, I'm just like, well, we're going to see Roosh and Beast Mortos again. I hope so. On commentary, they did talk about how Don Callis must be proud of Roosh, which was interesting because I did not know this was still a thing. We haven't seen Roosh in weeks. The last match Roosh was in was against Preston Vance on Collision like a month ago. And since then, I've never heard Don Callis mention Roosh. I've never heard no one mentions Roosh. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about how Don Callis is proud. Whatever. But Roosh did come through for the team and got us the win. So that I could appreciate. Whatever's going on with Roosh and Beast Mortos, we need to make it happen. I'm digging that team if that's going to be the case. The show was alright. The way the show ended with Nigel and them, I just, something about it went wrong, and it shouldn't have. And Tony Khan, we're going to have to fix it. We're going to have to fix it because Nigel and Danielson's story deserve much better than what is getting right now. Fix it, Tony Khan. Guys, I'll be back on Wednesday for Grand Slam live stream and obviously the review. Come check me out on Wednesday. I'll see you guys then.